All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're basically cracking open a structural diagnostic manual for your business. We're going to explore exactly how to uncover those hidden business risks well before they become terminal. Think of this whole thing as the ultimate health checkup for your company. It's designed specifically to help you spot the risks hiding across your organization before they spiral into a full-blown turnaround situation.
Let's immediately ground ourselves in the core philosophy here. Dr. Mike Teng puts it perfectly. He says, a company cannot be considered well and healthy unless it considers its risks. And look, I really need to clarify something right off the bat because it's absolutely crucial. This is about fundamental, structural health. This is definitely not about expensively hedging your bets or trying to defensively protect yourself from every little thing. It's about actively naming, sizing, and truly owning your vulnerabilities while it's still relatively cheap to fix them.
To get there, we've got a clear roadmap. We're going to cover the cost of late diagnosis, the risk management matrix, the 8 corporate pillars, some real Singapore SME case studies, how to triangulate corporate health, and finally, the 22 apps for treatment.
Section 1. The cost of late diagnosis, a familiar staircase.
Okay, let's really dive into this, because companies rarely just drop dead from a sudden surprise attack. They actually descend this highly predictable staircase. First, they are blinded. The signals are there, but nobody sees them. Take customer concentration, for example. Say one customer makes up 45% of your revenue, but nobody has bothered to calculate it. Fixing it right here just cost what, an afternoon of analysis? Step 2 is inaction. The risk is finally seen, but it's just explained away. Step 3 is faulty action. This is that panicked push for any business at any margin which just completely erodes your whole book. Step 4 is crisis. That big customer leaves, revenue gets slashed in half in a single quarter, and suddenly you're restructuring. And finally, dissolution. The wild thing is, the risk was totally identical at every single step on this staircase. The only thing that changed was the price of intervention, which steadily and ruthlessly rises the later you diagnose it.
Section 2. The risk management matrix, sorting the unknowns.
So how do we intervene early? Well, we use this 2x2 framework popularized by Donald Rumsfeld back in 2002, and we turned it into a complete diagnostic powerhouse. This matrix sorts your risks into 4 distinct quadrants, and each one demands a totally different treatment. Quadrant 1, the known knowns. Can I put a number on it today? If yes, you measure it. Quadrant 2, the known unknowns. We know a cyber attack could happen, but we can't really size it. So what do? You rehearse it. Then you've got Quadrant 3, the unknown knowns. Honestly, this is the danger zone. The organization itself knows about the issue, but management doesn't. You know, the crane has been making a weird noise since Tuesday, but nobody told the boss. Here, you absolutely must surface it. And finally, Quadrant 4, the unknown unknowns. These are the totally unpredictable black swans, like a sudden global pandemic. You literally can't list them, so you build capacity to outlast them.
Section 3. The 8 corporate pillars, the anatomy of a business.
But here's the thing, a matrix is really just a sorting tool. We need to know where to actually apply it within the true anatomy of your company, and that brings us to the 8 corporate pillars. Think of this exactly like the biological systems of your business. Pillar 1 is financial health, your bloodstream. But pay attention here because roughly half of all SME failure actually originates in non-financial areas. Pillar 2 is operational excellence. Those are your muscles. Pillar 3 is leadership and culture, the head and heart. Pillar 4 is your business model, the actual skeleton that holds everything up. Pillar 5 is trust and governance, the oxygen you breathe. Without compliance and trust, you simply suffocate. Pillar 6 is digital and AI, your nervous system. Pillar 7 is market repositioning, your reflexes to changing environments. And Pillar 8 is transformation and turnaround, which is your company's literal healing capacity. If you aren't checking all 8 of these vital signs, you are flying completely blind.
Section 4. Singapore SME case studies, autopsies of failure.
Let's ground this theory in some harsh reality. We can look at how failure maps perfectly to the anatomy we just discussed. Take HighFlux, right? A massive, homegrown success. But they suffered a Pillar 1 failure in financial health due to the Two Spring project. It was a large, long-dated commitment whose economics just deteriorated, ultimately a liquidity crisis. Next, look at Sing Health in 2018. That was a classic Pillar 5 failure, trust and governance. We're talking about approximately 1.5 million patient records being breached, and it was seriously exacerbated by gaps in staff awareness and a delayed escalation. Finally, Robinsons, an absolute Singapore institution founded way back in 1858. Now, they didn't just die overnight. They suffered a Pillar 4 failure, their business model.
They had an outdated retail format that was heavily relied on footfall, weighed down by huge fixed rental costs, and they finally collapsed during the pandemic. None of these were sudden surprises, guys. They were untreated pillar illnesses.
Section 5. Triangulating your corporate health.
So how do we prevent these exact types of failures from happening to you? Well, to get a truly accurate diagnosis of those 8 pillars, we can't just rely on a single perspective. The source material outlines a system where 4 different instruments ask 4 very different questions about the exact same set of pillars to expose the full picture.
The crucial point here is that we must triangulate corporate health, and you do this by comparing 3 completely different vantage points. First, you use accountingfinancialcenter.com. This directly asks, what does your money actually say? It reads your financial statements for hard, undeniable evidence of capacity and exposure. Second, you look at turnaroundcenter.com. This asks, what do you say you do? It tests your stated priorities against your actual operational practice. And third, wellnessadvisory.org. This asks, what would you decide? It runs simulations to stress test your judgment well before the stakes are real. By comparing hard financial facts against your stated priorities and your simulated crisis judgment, you essentially expose the hidden blind spots in your business before they become fatal.
Section 6. The 22 apps. The prescription. Okay, so once we've properly diagnosed the illness using the pillars and our triangulation tools, we need a prescription, right? We have to prescribe the right treatment. And here are the 22 ecosystem tools perfectly mapped to those 4 quadrants we talked about. Now, the golden rule here is that a diagnostic won't help you with a risk nobody has bothered to name, and a simulation won't help you with a number you could simply have just measured. So if you have a quadrant 1 measurable risk, like your cash runway, you reach for accountingfinancialcenter.com. If you have a quadrant 2 known unknown, like a cyber threat or some sudden supply chain rupture, you reach for crisiscommunicationadvisory.org or turnaroundgame.org to rehearse your decisions. You absolutely must prescribe the specific app to the specific quadrant in order to treat the right pillar.
I want to leave you all with a rather profound thought from Dr. Teng's 40 years in turnaround work. When he goes in and asks boards of failed companies when they first knew about the risk that took them down, the answer is never, "We didn't see it coming." Not once. Usually somebody in the building had known for months. It was the finance clerk who filed a weird invoice or the supervisor out back who heard a machine struggling. The knowledge existed, it just wasn't surfaced. So I have to ask you, in your company's deepest risks, when did you first know? Please, don't wait until it requires a massive, expensive turnaround. Start measuring, rehearsing, surfacing, and outlasting your risks today. Name them, sort them, and go build a truly healthy business.